The film has been declared tax-free in MP, in Chhattisgarh and in UP. So it's been fabulous. Yeah, we complete a week since release tomorrow, and while I'd say that I had anticipated a good response, I think it's been better than good, and it's growing. You know, the numbers show that the film is holding even on weekdays. We've had great occupancy, and which is very rare. Our Monday number was 50% of Sunday. Normally it's, you know, it's compared to the Friday number, but because the Sunday number is bigger, but ours was 50% of Sunday, which is incredible. But what for me was most heartening is that I traveled to Chhattisgarh, to UP, to MP, and met, you know, the locals there, and everywhere there's such a passion about the film. You know, it's the kind of passion, it's like they're sharing our passion. And yesterday I think I had a beautiful moment. I was actually near National College in Bandra. I was at the Signal, and you know, a couple of the beggars came up to me and they started reciting the last dialogue from the film. It was unbelievable for me. I was like, oh my God, you know, these people beg on the streets, and to imagine that they've actually gone and watched the film within the first week and they know the dialogue, and just the way they were reciting it, I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was actually so overwhelmed. So it's been very good. So we were hoping to get a tax-free in these states, and you know, we've got the film has been declared tax-free in MP, in Chhattisgarh and in UP. So it's been fabulous. I think the governments are also very excited about this film because the bureaucracy watches a film before they declare it tax-free. And they were all very gung-ho. They said, you know, isme mitti ki khushboo hai. You know, and this is really a story that's very rooted, that this is very relevant. This is talking to an India which films don't talk to anymore. You know, our films normally talk to a more urban audience, not so much to the small town audiences or to the rural audiences. But I think this film has found that connect. Absolutely, you know. So my initial question to Bhatt Saab was that, why would she put up with all this, you know? Or rather, more than put up, why would she stand by a marriage that is almost non-existent? And he told me, look around you and you'll find the answers. And that's, you know, typical Bhatt Saab. I said, really? And it's coincidence, or maybe it's divine intervention, that actually I began to see things around me that I hadn't seen before. Like, you know, I've been saying this, but I met a friend of mine who had just walked out of a 6-year marriage. And I was like, you know, what happened? And she said, I went through domestic abuse. So I said, when did it start? She said, at the very start. And I said, oh my God. So what took you so long? She said, I couldn't imagine that my marriage wasn't working out. I couldn't imagine that my marriage won't last a lifetime. And here we're talking about a girl who's like me, who's very well educated, who's doing extremely well career-wise, who's extremely attractive. There's no dearth of attention. And I couldn't believe that she'd have this kind of attitude. This is just one example because she's the closest, you know, reference point for me. And I realized that, you know, this is not yesterday's reality. This is very much today's reality. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see that a lot of times people still have very traditional ways of thinking or even values. And a lot of times these tie us down. So I think I got my answers there, and that's why I got convinced to play Vasudha. I cry easily, but can I tell you, on film I find it difficult to cry because, you know, I don't know, I don't think I can manufacture tears. So therefore I have to really work at feeling the moment. And I think Mohit is a kind of director who would gently push me to feel that moment. So there was no kind of pressure. He'd say, take your time, because you know you can't just decide that okay, I'm going to cry, and it's not, of course you can use glycerine, but unless you feel it, it doesn't happen. So I think Mohit would very gently push me to that point where I would actually feel the moment, and then so it was very emotionally demanding but very fulfilling. Yeah, I think it's such a relatable moment. You know, this is happening between all of us all the time. You begin to flirt with people like that. When you ask for someone's picture, you're slightly crossing that line, so both people know where you stand. So it's interesting, and that's the thing about Bhatt Saab's writing. You know, he borrows from real life experiences, so there's nothing superficial about it. It's all very relatable. I thought that moment was lovely. It's such a nice way of telling the other person that I want to know you a little more intimately. Yeah, you know, I don't know if we'll get a script that really has us living happily ever after together. But I like this kind of equation that we've struck on screen. Not that we chose to do it, but in the dirty picture it happened, Gun Chakkar, and now Hamari Adhuri Kahani. So it's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that, but yeah, maybe we're just not meant to be together on screen. Exactly. I've said this before, but I'm in the final stages of deciding on a television show. So if that happens, then I'll take a couple of months off to do the television show. If it doesn't happen, then I'll get on a film, but I can't talk about the film yet. Yeah. Break only because I like to rejuvenate myself, you know, in terms of energies, in terms of, just when you're promoting a film or when you're shooting for a film, you're so consumed by it that you need to disconnect from it. And also just do other things like listen to music and read and go for walks and just travel, things like that. No, you know, I think they all feel very proud of the work I do. And I must say this, that there are a couple of people who are objective about my work. Actually, my family is quite objective. Initially, I think they feel like, wow. And then, or maybe they see it for what it is at the very start, but tell me a little later कि अच्छा ये ज़्यादा अच्छा हो सकता था, या ये खामी लगी, या जो अच्छा लगता है वो सबसे पहले कह देते हैं.